In the most westerly point of Europe, there lies an emerald island surrounded by the deep blue Atlantic Ocean. That island is Ireland. It is one of Europe's least industrialized, lightly populated, and untouched countries. There are 32 counties that make up Ireland. 26 counties lie in the south, with the other 6 being in Northern Ireland. All of the counties have their own unique character, but they each have certain things in common: fabulous scenery and a long and troubled past. The Roman conquest of Western Europe never managed to reach Ireland. From then to the 8th century, while England was plunged into the Dark Ages, Ireland became a land of saints and scholars. This all stopped when the Vikings arrived. The Vikings wrought havoc in Ireland during the 8th century, and in 1169, Dermot MacMurrough, the King of Leinster, asked Henry II of England for his help. He needed help to get rid of the Vikings in order to reinforce his kingship of Ireland. The Anglo-Norman army invaded and soon wiped out the Viking threat. The problem was that they were so successful in doing this that they did not want to leave. It would be 700 years before they left. Donegal is the most remote place in Ireland, and this is what makes it so attractive. It is a place of mountains, lakes, and moors. A county unspoiled by the modern world, where wild scenery surrounds deep lochs, and the cleanest air in Europe fills the senses. The next peninsula north of the Rosses is Gweedore. The most scenic area of Gweedore is an area of land called the Bloody Foreland. Rather like the Rosses, the Bloody Foreland is a wonderfully remote headland. It is a mass of red granite. The cliffs at the foreland get their name from the red tinge which the rocky coast takes during sunset. The sea is then bathed in the same red, and Tory Island nearby becomes a glowing pearl on the scarlet sea. The mainly Irish-speaking area between Gweedore and Falcarra, the Gaeltacht, halts at the Bloody Foreland. In the centre of Donegal town, there is the Diamond Obelisk. This monument commemorates the founding of Donegal Abbey in 1474, and in particular the Four Masters. The Four Masters were 4 Franciscan monks who wrote the definitive history of Celtic culture. Donegal is world-renowned for its hand-woven tweed, and only a stone's throw from the Diamond Obelisk is McGee's. McGee's of Donegal is still run by the same family who established it in 1866. In the late 19th century, wooden looms were used to make the hand-woven Donegal tweed. They still produce tweed in the old-fashioned way, hand-woven, as they have done for the last 125 years. As you can see, it is hard work, requiring a good eye and lots of coordination to work all the pedals and the shuttle, which zooms across the strands carrying its thread. On top of all that skill is the patience of the weaver, who would have to sit there for many hours during each day producing this exceptional cloth. Covering 700 square miles, the small northwestern county of Sligo is a place of open fields and moors. Sligo is particularly famous for the Ross's Point golf course.
Well, I was lucky enough to grow up in Ross's Point, and it's an area of renowned beauty. It's been immortalised in literature by William Butler Yeats, and again the golf course was enhanced or more or less embellished further by none other than Harry Colt, that renowned golf course architect, way back in the 1920s. I think it was probably one of the best decisions the club ever made here was to bring Harry Colt down. He enhanced what we see as God's creation here, and my favourite hole would be going down by the 10th, which hasn't at all been interfered with. The original landscape is there. You see old Ben Bulben and Lissadell, where great windows open to the south in Yeats's poetry. Also under bare Ben Bulben's head, in Drumcliff churchyard, Yeats is laid. All of those emotions come to mind, I think, when you play golf, and golf really isn't all about the best hole. I think it's the thoughts that go through your head when you're far away from home is what matters most to me. And I think you come back refreshed from an outing down to the 10th in County Sligo.
In the south of Mayo is the town of Westport. Like so many other small Irish towns, this is a town of great beauty. The town was designed around the river Carabeg, running through the middle of it. The river is called the Mall because it was built with a wall around it to create a grand approach to the house of Elizabeth I. Many of the older buildings are still standing, some carefully restored. Westport was originally laid out as part of a great estate, and at the turn of the 18th century prospered greatly from its textile industry. To the west of Westport is the Croagh Patrick. St. Patrick was the son of a minor Roman official. He was born in western Britain at the turn of the 5th century. In 432 AD, he returned to Ireland, where he spent the next 30 years preaching to convert the Irish people to Christianity. Ireland's best-known emblem, the shamrock, was actually first used by St. Patrick to illustrate the Holy Trinity to his students. The mountain stands at 2,500 feet, and on the last Sunday in July, the pilgrims climb it as a holy feat. An ancient bridge and a more ancient tower, a farmhouse that is sheltered by its wall, an acre of stony ground where the symbolic rose can break in flower. Born in Dublin in 1865, W.B. Yeats was one of Ireland's greatest poets. In 1916, he found his ivy-covered tower, conveniently close to his friend and patron, Lady Gregory, who lived in Cool House. Many of Yeats' more mystical writings were produced here, notably The Tower and The Winding Stair. Alas, in 1928, Yeats abandoned the damp tower for warmer climates and went to France. This is where he died in 1939, whereupon the tower fell into ruin again. I, the poet William Yeats, with old mill boards and sea-green slates, and smithy work from the Gort Forge, restored this tower for my wife George. And may these characters remain when all is ruin once again. Galway is looked upon as the Republic of Ireland's third city. It grew from a fishing village in the Claddagh area at the mouth of the River Corrib to become a walled town. On the west side of the river are the remains of a Gaelic-speaking fishing community known as the Claddagh. It was from here that the famous Claddagh ring originated. The Claddagh ring depicts two hands holding a heart with a crown resting on top. The ring is a potent symbol of love and friendship that still retains its power today. 18th century Eyre Square is a welcome space after the confinement of the tiny old lanes. In the square is Brown's Doorway, a separated doorway dating back to 1627. This doorway was removed from a mansion in 1905. Today it forms an unusual isolated monument. Looking through Brown's Doorway, one can see the striking monument to the Galway fishing boats, called the Galway Hookers. The huge bronze sculpture represents the sails of the fishing boats. The westernmost region of County Galway is the area known as Connemara. Connemara has many beautiful sights, but none is more idyllic and tranquil than Kylemore Abbey.
The castle was built in 1868 by Mitchell Henry for his wife. Mitchell Henry and his bride were on their honeymoon here in Connemara, and they came to this lovely place where there was just a fishing lodge, and his bride thought she would love to come and live here. And it was a very happy combination, in fact, because Mitchell Henry had all the money and Mrs. Henry had all the ideas. So they built the castle, and sadly they only lived here for a short period of time, some 6 years, because Mrs. Henry went on a holiday to Egypt, and while she was there she developed Nile fever and sadly died, and her remains were brought back here and they're buried here in a mausoleum, and so are the remains of Mr. Henry himself. Then in 1920 the nuns came here from Ypres in Belgium. We are the only Benedictine nuns in Ireland, and our abbey is open to the public right throughout the summer, and indeed beyond through the winter at times indeed as well. And we're delighted to be able to share what is Kylemore really, the peace and the quiet and the harmony that is ours here at Kylemore, and of this lovely place and lovely setting, probably one of the finest in Ireland. This is very much characteristic of Benedictine monasteries, that they would have visitors. St. Benedict says that visitors were never lacking in monasteries, and that we ought to welcome them and greet them, and that we try to do. And of course this helps the economy of this monastery, which is at a very low ebb of course at the moment, and we're delighted about that because we are presently carrying out a lot of restoration work, and this will continue, I expect, over the next decade. So we invite everybody to come and see what we're doing and share the peace again that is Kylemore. And this is our wish for everybody, which is our Benedictine motto, Pax Peace.
"30 miles from Galway City, in the Atlantic Ocean, lie the Aran Islands. There are 3 main islands, Inishmore, Inisheer and Inishmaan. The population of the Aran Islands is a mere 4,000. Most people travel to these beautiful islands for the rugged, sweeping views, and to visit the early monastic ruins, and of course to buy Aran sweaters.
Well, Aran sweaters are individual to each woman. Each woman has her own set pattern that she'd like to put into her jumpers. Usually when she has them knitted, I've seen some women doing the jumpers themselves or knitting away, and I've recognised them jumpers when I saw them on the shelf in the shop. But there has been a tradition that the stitches mean something, that there is a story to them. And again, as each knitter knits it, I think they must themselves put the story together. I have put a story together in my jumpers, and I call it my faith story, where I, through all the stitches I put in the jumper, I would symbolise what I believe in my faith. The rope stitch will always be known as the fisherman's rope, but outside of that you would have the blackberry stitch and you would have the moss stitch, both of them symbolising the food that people would have received from their surroundings. Then you would have things like the diamond, which is a symbol of the desire to have some wealth in their lives. And then you've got the seed stitch, symbolising the seeds that they plant in the fields. The diamond stitch is also a symbol of the fields of Arran, for Arran jumpers. And the honeycomb would be a symbol of perfection, because bees, when they're making their honeycomb, they're supposedly mathematically correct. And the symbolisation for the Arran sweaters were all perfect.
County Clare is sandwiched between Galway and Kerry, and as such it has a lot to live up to with such popular neighbours. But County Clare has its own special charms. Bunratty Folk Village is an authentic taste of old Ireland. A reconstructed old village, it has everything that a traditional Irish village should have. Cottages, a blacksmith, weavers, post office, pubs, and even candle makers. Near the village, on the rising ground near the great Shannon estuary, stands the impressive Bunratty Castle. In the year 1646, the castle was lived in by the 6th Earl of Thomond, a member of the O'Brien clan. He was a man of considerable power and substance, whose presence is still felt in the castle today. In his bedroom, there is a 15th century English double bed with ornate bedposts, with a canopy of embroidered scenes from the childhood of Christ. Strangely, however, the tower over the Earl's bedroom was originally a pigeon house, a necessary addition to 15th and 16th century households, when fresh meat was almost unobtainable in winter. This kitchen was the Earl's private kitchen. Only his food was prepared in here. Food for large banquets would probably be prepared and cooked in the courtyard. The banqueting hall was where all the entertaining went on. Standing at 48 feet high, 30 feet wide, with the floor paved with marble squares, it really does live up to its name, the Great Hall. The Great Hall must have seen lots of banquets where food and drink would flow freely day and night, 24 hours a day. All travelers were entitled to the free and lavish hospitality which was one of the customs of the time and was the mark of a powerful chieftain. Today, people can experience the medieval atmosphere while walking around the castle, looking at the history all around them while hearing at the same time the beautiful tones of the resident choir filtering through the corridors. Kerry is one of the most famous and most visited of all the counties of Ireland. Kerry is steeped in history, ancient history. Trailed along the roughened peninsula edges are ancient forts, high crosses, and other monuments giving the county an aura of medieval magic and mystique. Some of the ruins in Kerry go back to before the birth of Christ. Kerry is made up of three main peninsulas: the Dingle Peninsula, the Iveragh Peninsula, and the Beara Peninsula. The Dingle and the Iveragh Peninsulas are two of the most beautiful and popular places in the whole of Ireland. Kerry has one of the mildest climates in Ireland. Lots of summer sunshine and deep blue sea bays ensure that Kerry is one of the most popular places for vacations. Situated in the gateway to the Dingle Peninsula is the town of Tralee. The Tralee Steam Railway is one of Kerry's best-known features. Once one of the world's most famous narrow-gauge railways running between Tralee and Dingle, it was closed in 1953. However, in 1993, a section of the railway was reopened. Visitors to Tralee can enjoy the journey from Tralee to the other end of the line, Blennerville Windmill. Blennerville Windmill is an impressive and picturesque windmill that was built in the 18th century by Sir Rowland Blennerhassett, a wealthy merchant. This well-known local saying, the American line, comes from the time when Blennerville was an emigration point during the Great Famine of 1845 to 1848.
Anybody going in the American line be down at the windmill in 10 minutes' time. Some people laughing and some people crying. That was the way till end of time.
Sailing ships left from here transporting thousands of Irish emigrants from Blennerville to destinations such as Britain, Canada, and the United States. One such ship was the Jeanie Johnston. This was one of the most famous vessels used to transport emigrants. During its vast number of journeys, it never once lost a passenger. This was an amazing statistic when you consider that the emigrant ships at that time were nicknamed the coffin ships. The journey around the Ring of Kerry will also take you through the stunning Killarney National Park. The grandeur of this wilderness is breathtaking. Travelling on the roads that wind through woods, heather, mountains and moors, it is impossible not to be reminded just what a beautiful place Ireland is. Nowhere is this reminder stronger than the first experience of Ladies' View. Named after Queen Victoria and her ladies-in-waiting, who were also mesmerized by the very same view that mesmerizes us today. The southwestern county of Cork is the largest county in Ireland. Cork is said to be especially rich in all that Ireland is famed for: the wild beauty of the land, deep bays framed by rugged coastlines, and, of course, the warm and charming Irish people. Once the capital of the ancient province of Munster, Cork City, the capital of County Cork, is now one of Ireland's major cities, second only to Dublin. The city actually dates back to the 7th century and is said to have grown from a monastic settlement founded by St. Finbar, a religious figure whose establishments contained at least 700 priests, monks, and students. Cork still pays tribute to its founder, and today people can visit St. Finbar's Cathedral. Built of pale grey limestone, this stately cathedral lies on the original site of St. Finbar's monastic settlement. Located in the sultry blue of Bantry Bay is the unusual Garnish Island. It has been said that language utterly fails to convey even a limited idea of the beauty of Garnish Island. This small island of only 37 acres is a place that anyone visiting Cork must not miss. As the boat approaches the shore, you will begin to glimpse the Mediterranean haven hidden among the trees. The island was originally purchased by Belfast-born MP Annan Bryce. He dreamed of turning the bare island into a paradise and enlisted the help of the architect Harold Peto. Peto favoured the Italian style of garden, and as at the time wilder gardens were in favour, Garnish Island is a blend of the two. Exotic plants were imported to fill the garden. With the Mediterranean-type climate and the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, these plants still flourish today. There are rare conifers, camellias, and exotic bamboos, to name but a few. The dense splashes of colour from the many different types of plants lie all around the walls of the Italian temple and buildings. It's scarcely possible to believe you are in Ireland while wandering through this subtropical paradise. County Cork is also where Blarney Castle can be found. Standing by the castle's roughened walls today, there is still a sense of majesty and magic. Perhaps more so because this is the home of the famous Blarney Stone. Legend tells us that anyone that kisses the Blarney Stone gains the gift of eloquence. The origin of this has been lost in time, but the development of the word Blarney can be traced to Elizabethan times. It was Queen Elizabeth I who initiated the use of the word. During her reign, Elizabeth tried to impose greater demands on her Irish neighbours. Cormac Teague McCarthy, the Lord of Blarney at the time, had no intention of submitting to her demands and cleverly managed to evade the Queen by shrewd letters full of flattery professing his loyalty to her. On receiving yet another such letter, Elizabeth shouted out in rage, "This man never means what he says. This is all blarney." Hence, Blarney slipped into the English language. Over the years, the definition has changed and now refers to flattering talk, a fine flow of eloquence with just a touch of good-humored exaggeration. The southeastern county of Waterford is world famous because of the outstanding Waterford crystal that is made here. The story of Waterford crystal began in 1783, when two brothers, George and William Penrose, founded their crystal manufacturing business in a glass-making factory in the busy port of Waterford. They succeeded in producing crystal with a purity of color unmatched anywhere. These ingredients are heated to about 1200 degrees centigrade over many hours. The molten glass is then turned and molded to give it the basic shape. Very hot and very thirsty work. This round blob of very heavy molten crystal is then passed on to the glass blower. Blowing down the tube, the glass blower skillfully blows the crystal into shape. By now, the crystal is cooling down. The once fierce red glow is slowly turning to a dull yellow. Once more, the crystal is passed along to where any additional pieces of crystal are added, such as the base of a bowl or the handle of a jug. The crystal is now cold, and it is passed along to the final part of the process, the cutting. The crystal is cut with diamond wheel cutters, the master cutter spending many hours cutting the grid-like patterns that are synonymous with Waterford. Many of these traditional patterns were made famous in the 18th century and are still as popular today as ever. Waterford's reputation owes much to the Waterford craftspeople's dedication to the highest level of quality and purity. The base of every piece of crystal has the signature of its makers and the word Waterford. The purity of color and the deep-cut patterns make Waterford probably the world's finest crystal. Kilkenny is one of Ireland's most delightful towns. It stands on a bend of the River Nore. It is packed with history, some of it quite bizarre. In 1324, Alice Kytiller, her maid, and her son were charged with witchcraft after Alice's fourth husband died. All three were convicted, but Alice managed to escape to England. Unfortunately, the maid didn't escape and was burned at the stake. Her son, however, escaped death when he offered to re-roof the cathedral. But the lead roof proved to be too heavy and it collapsed. Today, Alice Kytiller's former home is a bar. Kilkenny City and Castle are intimately associated with the Butler family. This Anglo-Norman clan were originally known as the Walters, but changed their name. Theobald Walter was given the title of Chief Butler of Ireland by Henry II in 1185. The title was nice, but what went with it was even better. The butlerage, or duty charge, on all wine imported into Ireland and England. When a descendant, Walter Butler, was short of money, he sold this right for nearly £216,000, an extraordinary sum in those days. The 3 wine glasses on the family shield commemorate this important source of family wealth. Its 3 conical roofed drum towers recall the Chateau of the Loire in France. The 4th tower and much else was destroyed in a Cromwellian bombardment in 1659. Maintaining such a structure became an enormous financial strain, and most of the furnishings were finally sold at auction. The castle was handed over to the city in 1967. The building today is a mixture of Gothic, classical, and Tudor styles dramatically set above the River Nore. The hall in the castle is hung with superb butler portraits, some of them from the 14th century. The 6th Marquess of Ormond presented the castle and a portion of its grounds to the people of Kilkenny in 1967. The hammer-beamed picture gallery, lined with portraits and beautiful ceiling decorations, really is a memorable room full of portraits of the Butler family members over the centuries. Set against the theatrical backdrop of the Wicklow Mountains is Powerscourt. It was once regarded as one of the most splendid houses in Europe. As it stands at the moment, the 18th century Powerscourt house is just a shell after a fire in 1974. The gardens were started by Richard Wingfield in the 1730s and took on their present elaborate form a century later. Italian and Japanese gardens surround this amazing house. Wide, sweeping terraces, superb antique sculptures and fountains, a design on a vast scale. As you walk towards Triton Lake, you walk down a path strewn with pebbles towards its 100-foot fountain, and then are greeted by the golden-winged horse at the edge, the spectacular Pegasus. The Italian gardens took 100 men 12 years to complete. Kildare has more horseflesh per square mile than any other Irish county, and the race courses are home to some of the biggest meets of the year. The calcium-rich grass breeds strong-boned horses, while excellent stud facilities and generous tax concessions attract many foreign horse owners. The farm at Tully, Kildare, which is today the home of the Irish National Stud, was the brainchild of Colonel William Hall Walker. He decided, much against the wishes of his father, to breed thoroughbred horses at Tully. Hall Walker's views on breeding have been described as inspired, preposterous, and eccentric. The 10 stallion boxes with their distinctive lantern roofs stand as proof of his highly successful, extraordinary policies on breeding and management. He believed that the stars dictated the destiny of all living creatures. He therefore considered it very important that the moon and stars should exercise their maximum influence on their subjects. and thus skylights were incorporated into the roofs of all the stables. Every time a mare foaled, Colonel Walker would cast its horoscope and race or sell the youngster accordingly. The system, it is said, was uncannily successful. In 1915, he presented the estate and the horses to the Crown, and it was handed over to the Irish state in 1943. Its importance in the bloodstock and racing world is without parallel. Adjoining the National Stud is the Japanese Gardens. They were created for Lord Wavertree between 1906 and 1910. He traveled to Japan and returned with two highly skilled gardeners, Tasa Ida and his son Minoru. The building of these gardens took 40 men over 4 years to complete. Planned to symbolize the life of man from birth to eternity via a series of landmarks representing disappointments and failures on the road to enlightenment, the landscapes are now of international renown and are acclaimed as the finest Japanese gardens in Europe. Each stage has its own mood and atmosphere, such as the Marriage Bridge, the Hill of Ambition, and the Tunnel of Ignorance. The clever design makes the gardens seem much bigger than they really are. County Kildare has within it two great canals, the Royal and Grand Canals, which connect Dublin with the interior lakelands and the rivers Shannon and Barrow. They were major arteries of trade during the Industrial Revolution. Both the Grand Canal and the Royal Canal were built and opened to traffic in 1779. The canal reached Robertstown in 1785, and from that date to the present time, the village has been economically dependent on it. The canal used to be the most important transport system in Ireland. Passenger service was discontinued in 1852. Commercial barges, horse-drawn or mechanically propelled, continued to use the canal until its official closing in 1960. Over 250,000 tons of cargo were carried in 1913. The cargoes mainly consisted of turf, grain, potatoes, building materials, and Guinness from the Guinness Brewery. The waterfront has been made to look as it did in the day when travelers used to leave their boats and stop off overnight. Some of the barges along the line have been restored to allow short trips along the canal. Now owned by the Office of Public Works, the canal is being used for pleasure cruising, which has slowly over the years become a big part of tourism. Dublin County is one of the smallest in Ireland, covering only 350 square miles, but most of the population of Ireland lives here, well over 1 million people. Dublin is the capital city of Southern Ireland and the home of its government. Dublin City, by virtue of its size, stands out dramatically in what is a largely rural country. Dublin has many Georgian streets and buildings. These were built during the boom years of the 18th century, and they rival the best Georgian architecture that Scotland or England can offer. By the standards at that time, Dublin was a huge place, with only the city of London being any bigger. Kilmainham Jail is an important centre of Irish history. It was opened in 1796, shortly before the Act of the Union abolished the Irish Parliament. It was finally closed in 1924 when Ireland became a free state. The opening and closing of this jail more or less coincided with the making and breaking of the union between Great Britain and Ireland. During those intervening years, the jail was like a political barometer. The uprisings of 1799, 1803, 1848, 1867, and 1916 all saw its leaders imprisoned at some time or other in Kilmainham Jail. Now the jail is empty of prisoners, but it remains filled with history. It has often been called the Irish Bastille because, like its French counterpart, it became such an important symbol of the Revolution. Walking through this vast building, the largest unoccupied jail in Europe, it is easy to feel the presence of prisoners long dead. Nowhere in Ireland will you find more pubs than in Dublin. The quality of music you will find in most Irish pubs is truly outstanding. You don't have to go far to hear traditional Irish songs being played with all the passion and feeling that was originally intended when they were first written all those years ago. Part of this important inheritance is, of course, what is drunk in these pubs. The most famous drink of them all is, of course, stout, in particular Guinness. The Guinness Brewery was founded by Arthur Guinness in 1759 at St. James Gate on the River Liffey. It grew quickly in popularity, with the first export orders leaving the brewery in 1769, and by the early 19th century, the dark brew was on sale all over the world. The Guinness Brewery is still the world's largest stout brewery, still using the same strain of yeast originally selected by Arthur Guinness all those years ago. Today, visitors can take a tour around the brewery, sampling the sights, sounds, smells, and taste of one of the most famous and well-known brands in the world. Ireland is a place that combines wonderful landscapes and a rich and varied history, a lot of it tragic. Ireland is a divided country, separated by years of conflict. But the people themselves, whether from the north or south, are one people, and that is unmistakably Irish. The Ireland most people read about is of the Troubles, but anyone visiting Ireland will be greeted by a very different place. The enchanting countryside and charming people is enough to touch anyone's heart and leave with them a touch of Ireland forever.